34.5 degrees in the workshop today, and we're back on the Dolomite. You can see now how I've got the base panel shape sorted. I've got it just clipped into position with a panel clamp just to make sure that it's all going the right way. I've already tacked in the repair for this upper part of the wheel arch before this swage line. So today I'm going to work on this. Make sure that the top edge here is nice and straight. Make sure the bottom edge of the wing is nice and straight. And then when I'm properly happy with it, I can push it up fully to close the gap here and close the gap here. And then, as I've done on the other side, I can start by just tacking it to start with and then filling all the gaps, halving each gap between the tacks each time so there's no localized overheating on the welding. That's coming up. You've probably seen how I write little notes to myself so that I don't forget things to do. And here, because the panel going up slightly higher than the hole would then line up for the bumper mounting here. The bumper mounting isn't adjustable because of the hole on the inside. So what I'm going to have to do is just drill the hole a bit lower, and you can see I put a note to myself to drop the hole, which I'm going to do now, and then I'm going to scrub off the note, and then we're ready to do a final lineup and tack it into place. I've moved the hole, going to line the panel up, and I'll show you how much better that looks. So there we go, with the panel just held in position by hand, the hole's in a much better position. If once I've finished tacking it in, it's still not 100%, I can just tweak that by hand once it's held solidly in position with the die grinder, and then that'll be fine for when the bumper goes back on. So I've turned down the welder power just a notch, just to make sure that I actually weld these rather than just burn holes in the material. Sometimes when it gets a little bit thin, you have to be a bit wary of the power you're using. So I've got the top edge held in position. I'm using my big magnet this end to hold it because there's nowhere to put any clamps. This end I've put a clamp which goes around inside the wheel arch, which is ideal because it gives me somewhere really good to put the earth lead. And all of us at probably many stages have forgotten to refit the earth lead and then wondered why. Well, it's looking good on the lineup. So I'm going to start with the tacking. Because this is a two-handed job, I'm going to have to park the camera again, but I'll be back with you shortly. So that's got a couple of good tacks onto it. And then as I start to work down the panel away from the first of the tack weld, my big magnet is an excellent way to make sure the panels are held nice and relative to each other while I tack close to the magnet, both sides, and then I can move the magnet and make sure at each stage that we've a flush edge here. So the welding has started to get a little bit sputtery, which I don't like. So I've quickly changed inside and the shroud. It's usually a good sign when it starts to get sputtered. Either or is dirty, and as they're in effect consumables, I'll just change and then crack on. So it's still nearly 36 degrees at this time of evening. I can dress rear corners here and weld that, and then I can weld the inner arches too. So then just before finishing up for the day, I thought I'd go back to the left-hand side, which I've been working at the same time as the right-hand side. Just been doing a bit of very light filming to minor imperfections and so on. The old panels particularly, but some of the new panels obviously not travelled well. But skimmed over with filler, smoothed down, and now a quick blow over with some primer, and it's ready for me to go and focus completely on the other side.